Welcome to A Homebuyer's Guide to the Community Housing Trust. This guide will help you better understand the Community Housing Trust model and the responsibilities associated with CHT homeownership. What is the Community Housing Trust? The Community Housing Trust is a program that helps people with modest incomes buy their first home. It uses subsidies, that is funding or financial support, from federal, state, and local programs to significantly reduce the purchase price of the home as well as operating costs, which makes the home more affordable for the buyer. The Community Housing Trust model keeps homes affordable not only for the first buyer, but for all future buyers as well. The Community Housing Trust is part of a growing national movement to create permanently affordable housing. Goals of the CHT. INHS created the Community Housing Trust to accomplish several important goals. 1. To help first-time homebuyers purchase well-built, affordable homes that allow them to build wealth. 2. To create permanently affordable homes that will benefit multiple generations of homebuyers. And 3, to build high-quality, energy-efficient homes that are assets to the community. These objectives allow INHS to use public and private funding in the most effective and long-lasting way. Meet Thomas. Thomas is a single father of 2 children, Pat, age 9, and Chris, age 7. Thomas works full-time at a local grocery store, but never thought he would be able to buy a home. After attending a homebuyer education class, he decided to work on improving his credit score and paying down debt. After 3 years, he still did not have enough saved for a down payment, but his credit score was over 680 and he had cut his debt load in half. He visited a housing counselor at INHS and learned about a brand new home for sale through the Community Housing Trust. How does the CHT work? When most homeowners buy a home, they also purchase the land beneath it. This gives the buyer the full rights and responsibilities of ownership, though often at a very high cost. When CHT homebuyers purchase a home, they purchase only the house, which are called improvements on legal documents. The land that the house sits upon is owned by INHS and is leased to the homeowner through an affordable 99-year lease. This arrangement decreases the purchase price of the home, and INHS can provide other financial assistance to further lower the buyer's costs. Plus, CHT homeowners are eligible for a significant reduction in their property taxes. All CHT properties are built or renovated to be energy efficient and environmentally sustainable, which keeps repair and operating costs low. As part of the lease, the homeowner is responsible for maintenance of the land, including mowing, gardening, fences, and so on. The homeowner must pay a monthly ground lease payment. More on that later. Thomas has questions. Thomas knew that his down payment would be low. INHS requires a 2% down payment for CHT homes, but he didn't understand the ground lease agreement. INHS explained that when Thomas buys the house, he would own the house entirely, but would not own the land beneath it. INHS would own the land and lease it to him through a 99-year ground lease. As part of the lease, Thomas would be responsible for taking care of the land and a $60 monthly fee. Thomas can sell the home if he wants, but only the house. The land lease, also called the ground lease, resets when the property is sold or transfers to a new owner. Click pause and take a minute to check out this video explaining CHTs. Can I build equity with a CHT home? The answer is yes. You will build equity, that is, ownership wealth, in your CHT home. However, in exchange for the financial benefits of buying a home at a lower affordable price and having the benefit of lower property taxes, each CHT homeowner agrees to limit the profit they make when they sell their home. This allows the next buyer to purchase the home at an affordable price. How equity works. Equity in the home is essentially the value of the home minus the amount owed to the bank. For example, if a homeowner sold their home today for $150,000 and then paid the balance due to the lender, let's say $100,000, the amount left over, that $50,000, is the equity. The homeowner's home equity increases over time as they pay down their loan and as the value of the home increases over time. CHT homes are limited to a specified maximum increase in value each year. For each year of ownership, the value is allowed to increase by a specified percent of the original purchase price, which ensures that the home stays affordable for future owners. The percent increase allowed is outlined in the buyer's short form ground lease, Section 4, noted in the table. Important rules and documents. There will be some new and important documents to get familiar with when you purchase a CHT home. This includes the master ground lease, as well as 2 amendments made to that document, one in 2015 and the other in 2016. The term or timeline of the master ground lease is 99 years, with an option to extend the ground lease once. See Article 3 of the master ground lease, page 2. All CHT homeowners are subject to a short form ground lease, which is a document signed at closing outlining specific requirements for the property, such as full replacement value, initial monthly ground lease fee, etc. You have been provided with these documents, and we will be referring to them throughout this section, so please have them available for reference. Owner occupancy requirement. Owners of CHT homes must occupy or live in the premises for at least 9 months a year. This is outlined in Section 4.4 of the Master Ground Lease, page 3. This owner occupancy requirement may be waived if a request is made in writing to INHS and if INHS provides written approval. The request must include a reason along with a specific date of return to the home. Funder restrictions often result in these requests being denied. If a request is not approved, the owner may continue to live in the property or may sell it. If the homeowner needs to leave the premises for an extended period and wants to rent out the home during that time, a request must be made in writing. Again, funder requirements may prevent this from being approved. INHS may request a copy of the lease between the homeowner and the tenant to be used for review and approval. Leaving town. Thomas knows that he must live in the property as part of the lease agreement and that renting the property is limited. However, 3 years after purchasing the home, he needs to travel abroad to help a family member recover from a surgery and transition to a new living environment. He does not want to move his children midway through a semester, so plans to go for the rest of the school year. Thomas explains the situation in a letter to INHS and requests an allowance to rent his home to a close friend so he can afford the mortgage payments while he's away. INHS shares details with any funders and requests that they approve the exception. Renting. Before the property is rented out, INHS has a right to review the rental agreement and approve or disapprove it. If it is not approved, the CHT homeowner has the option to continue to occupy the property or sell it. If the CHT homeowner wants to rent the property out at any time or list it on a short-term rental site, they need to contact INHS. Most funders have restrictions that do not allow this. If the homeowner plans to rent out a room while still living in the property, that is typically acceptable. If the renter will be moving in at the time of purchase, that renter's income will also have to be included when qualifying the buyer and could have an impact on eligibility. Ground lease fee. A ground lease fee is due to INHS monthly. The amount of the fee can be found in the table in Section 4 of the short form ground lease and currently ranges from $60 to $110, depending on if exterior maintenance is covered by INHS. The ground lease fee may be adjusted every 5 years. If INHS raises the ground lease fee at the 5-year mark, you will receive written notice 90 days before the increase. See Section 5.5 of the Master Ground Lease and 5.1 in the First Amendment to the Master Ground Lease. The ground lease fee is paid directly to INHS, and buyers should expect that INHS will raise fees modestly over time to help cover the costs of operating the CHT. Taxes. CHT homeowners are responsible for paying property taxes along with all other service bills and utilities. Homeowners are eligible for any tax exemptions available to them, such as tax breaks for military veterans, STAR, enhanced STAR, and other exemptions. Special tax exemptions for CHT buyers. CHT homeowners receive a special property tax exemption that results in being taxed only on the estimated resale price of the property. INHS provides an application for this exemption at closing. The buyer completes and signs the application, and then INHS submits the application to the assessment office. A renewal form is sent to the CHT homeowner every year, which has the updated estimated resale value of the home. The homeowner must sign the renewal form and return it to the assessment office. Failure to return the renewal form to the assessment office by March 1st every year may result in losing the tax exemption, which means the homeowner would be taxed at the full assessed value of the home. This can result in a significantly higher property tax bill. The estimated resale value is only an estimate. It is not the actual resale value. Any buyer who wants to know the actual resale value of their CHT home can speak to INHS about the process to calculate it, which involves paying for a market rate appraisal. The tax exemption does not freeze the tax bill to keep it at a set amount each year. It only prevents the homeowner from being taxed at the higher assessed value. The estimated resale price may increase over the years, which will result in an increase in the tax bill. However, the increase is capped at the amount identified in the short form ground lease. Tax savings. Thomas's property taxes are based on the resale value of his home, which is limited by the 2% cap rather than the full market resale value. This means instead of being calculated on the full market resale value of his home, his property taxes are calculated on the lower amount. This exemption saves Thomas about $3,500 a year. In addition, since Thomas does not own the land, that value is not counted in his assessed value, which saves him money each year as well. Assessment versus appraisal. Property taxes are calculated using the assessed value of the home. The assessed value is based upon a percentage of the market value of the home and the type of property it is, among other factors determined by the assessor, a government entity. That assessed value is multiplied by the local tax rate to get the annual property tax amount. A tax assessor does not typically go through a house to determine value. They use data, building permits, and do a drive-by to determine value. The assessment is not a true determination of a home's market value. An appraisal is different. The appraised value considers the market value of the home and takes a more detailed look at the property inside and out. The value is determined by a professional appraisal company. The appraiser uses recent sales price in the area along with other factors and features of the home and its condition to verify the home's worth. The appraisal is typically used to determine mortgage eligibility, while assessments are used to calculate property taxes. The appraiser may be hired by the lender or the homeowner. Improvements to the home. CHT homeowners have the privilege of making improvements to their home as they wish and enjoying those improvements like any other homeowner. This includes painting or making modifications. Improvements made to the house are owned by the homeowner, and the cost of making modifications to the home, including construction work, is the responsibility of the homeowner. Changes to the land. Any changes to the land requires written consent from INHS. This includes fences, patios, outbuildings, and other permanent structures. Changes to the design of or materials associated with existing buildings also requires written consent from INHS, as well as changes to the driveway or parking area. INHS shall not unreasonably withhold this consent. When requesting consent, the CHT homeowner will need to provide a copy of the plans and any required building permits for INHS to review. For more information, see Section 7.3 of the Master Ground Lease. Changing the land. Thomas decided to add a swing set, playhouse, and garden to his property so his children had a space to learn and play. Before making changes, Thomas sent a letter to INHS outlining his plans and asking for written consent from INHS. He included details about the structures he planned to build, as well as layouts, and checked with the town to see if permits were necessary. They were not, and he noted that in his request to INHS. INHS provided written consent within a week of his request. Insurance. CHT homeowners must keep insurance on the whole property to cover the house and the land. The insurance binder must be provided to INHS, and INHS must be listed as a loss payee. For more information on insurance requirements, please see Section 9.4 of the Master Ground Lease. Here are a few important items to remember. Replacement value. Full replacement value will be stated in the short form ground lease in the table in Section 4. This amount covers the cost of rebuilding the home and will be higher than your purchase price because it costs more to rebuild a home. This is the number that should be used as full replacement value in the policy so the homeowner has sufficient coverage in case of a total loss. CHT homeowners must inform their insurance carrier of this number. Deductible. The deductible cannot exceed $1,000 on the homeowner's insurance policy. Liability coverage. The liability coverage is required to be at least $500,000. Capital improvement credit. Certain improvements can result in a capital improvement credit, which can potentially increase the maximum resale price. Keep in mind that if the improvement to the home is expensive, that does not necessarily mean it will be recaptured during a sale. It is best to make improvements for your own enjoyment, not to potentially sell the property for more money. It is important to keep records and receipts of any improvements made, so INHS can confirm that the capital improvement was made at the current homeowner's expense. Repairs or replacement of existing components of the home are not considered capital improvements. For example, a new roof or siding is considered regular maintenance, not a capital improvement. A capital improvement might include adding a half bath or an extra bedroom. Capital improvement credit. Shortly after buying the home, Thomas added a half bath so his family could be more comfortable. He did not inform INHS of the addition since he was not required to do so. The work was done professionally and the contractor had the appropriate permits. Thomas kept all receipts to show that the capital improvement was made at his own expense. Exterior maintenance. The homeowner is responsible for all exterior maintenance of the property, like mowing the lawn, taking care of trees or gardens, and snow removal. Unless those tasks are outlined in another document, such as a homeowners association document, if it's part of an HOA, or a maintenance agreement. For more information on exterior repairs, see Section 4.2 of the Master Ground Lease. Home repairs. The ongoing maintenance and repair of the home is the responsibility of the CHT homeowner. If something breaks down, it is up to the homeowner, not INHS, to get it fixed. Some home repairs and maintenance can be intimidating, and INHS is happy to help CHT homeowners figure out a plan. Keeping the home well maintained is important. It ensures that the home stays comfortable, safe, efficient, and affordable. Also, ongoing maintenance will help the homeowner avoid expensive repairs that can result from small issues getting worse over time. In addition, damage or unresolved serious maintenance issues will reduce the value of the house and could be a financial loss when it comes time to sell. All CHT homeowners are provided with a homeowner manual at closing if they are the first purchaser of that home. This guide is a great resource. It describes the systems in the home and provides maintenance recommendations. If you purchase a CHT home from INHS, we will provide this. If you are buying from a current owner and they do not have the manual, INHS can provide another one to you. Resale value of the property. CHT homeowners should not focus on the annual percentage cap that is outlined in Section 4 of the short form ground lease. This number is not a guaranteed increase. Instead, the property will only increase as much as the current market is increasing in all properties, restricted or not. If you are looking to purchase a home with the goal of gaining substantial equity, the CHT option may not be the best fit. CHT properties are best geared toward those who want to live in the home for the long term and enjoy lower housing costs as opposed to cashing out on a big sale. Building equity. Fast forward 10 years. Thomas is still in his CHT home and has been able to save over $50,000 because his mortgage payment and tax payments are kept low with the CHT structure. As his children start thinking about college, Thomas is thinking about selling. He asks INHS about the resale. The percent increase stated on his lease was 2% per year, and the starting value was $150,000. INHS instructs Thomas to get a new market appraisal, so the resale value can be calculated using that number. Thomas remembers to ask the appraiser to list the improvement separately, that half bath that was added years ago, and include the value of that work done, which was $10,000. INHS agrees to the improvement credit, which allows Thomas to list the property for more than the price cap in the master ground lease. Purpose of the resale restriction. The goal of the CHT program is to keep homes permanently affordable, which is why there is a resale restriction. CHT homeowners can only transfer the home to an income qualified household. This format keeps the home affordable for the long term, so another income qualified homebuyer can enjoy the benefits of stable and affordable housing. INHS is also eligible to purchase the property back, though this only happens in rare circumstances. Additional guidance regarding resale of the property is outlined in Section 4 of the short form lease. Transferring the home to heirs. If or when a CHT homeowner dies, INHS must give consent to transfer title of the home to a surviving spouse, domestic partner, or other heir. This must happen within 90 days of being notified by the executor of the estate that the CHT homeowner has died. For more information, see Section 10.3 of the Master Ground Lease. For the property to go to a surviving spouse or domestic partner, the marriage or domestic partnership must be legally registered with a government entity. For example, the couple must have obtained a marriage license, etc. All other potential heirs must be approved by INHS and meet the funder and income requirements to inherit and live in the home. Any person that inherits a CHT home who is not a surviving spouse or legally registered domestic partner and who wants to live in the home must meet the income guidelines and enter a 99-year ground lease with INHS. If the heir does not meet the requirements of living in the home or does not want to live in the CHT home, the heir may sell the home following the process in the ground lease and collect the proceeds. Resale process. INHS will provide a step-by-step guide to CHT homeowners if they wish to sell. The CHT homeowner will need to obtain a market rate appraisal of the property, and that cost will be covered by the homeowner. For more information, see Section 10 of the Master Ground Lease and both the First and Second Amendment to the Master Ground Lease. Also, the steps are outlined at the end of this workbook. Resale calculator. The formula for calculating the resale price of the home is outlined in the short form lease Schedule C, called Maximum Resale Price Worksheet. Resale price. The property must be sold at a price no higher than the calculated resale price. In addition, the property must be sold to a first-time buyer earning less than a specified area median income, or AMI. The AMI limit depends on the specified unit and the funder guidelines for that unit and will be outlined in Section 4 of the short form lease. INHS can provide those income limits to you. For reference, a first-time home buyer is any individual who has not owned a home in the past 3 years, with some exceptions. INHS can help explain who qualifies as a first-time buyer. All potential buyers must be pre-qualified by INHS, and INHS will provide a short-form ground lease for the new buyer to sign at closing. Selling the home. Thomas decides to sell his home and downsize now that his children have moved on to college. He contacts INHS to let them know he has a coworker who is interested. As stated in his master ground lease, the new buyer must earn less than 100% of the area median income. Thomas's coworker meets with a housing counselor at INHS and learns that they meet the basic guidelines to purchase the home. At that point, the buyer starts working with INHS more closely to gather documents, pre-qualify for down payment assistance, and find a lender so they can apply for a mortgage loan. Selling a CHT home. The next section outlines the process for selling a CHT home. Step 1, give written notice of intent to sell. Should you decide to sell your CHT home, there are specific steps to follow. Step 1 is to provide written notice to INHS. This could be in the form of a letter or an email. An email should be sent to homeownership@ithacanhs.org, or a letter may be delivered in writing to 115 West Clinton Street, Ithaca, New York, 14850. Step 2, order the market appraisal. A market appraisal must be ordered to determine the maximum resale price of the property. The appraiser must value the property as if there are no resale price restrictions or ground lease, and that equity increase is considered in the resale calculation. The appraisal is paid for by the homeowner. Please contact INHS if the appraiser has a question. Step 3, claim a credit for capital improvements. If capital improvements were made to the property and you would like to claim those improvements for a credit, include a list of the improvements with your letter of intent to sell. Include a list of the improvements with your letter of intent to sell, along with proof that the improvements were done at your expense, such as receipts. Any improvements must be separated out in the appraisal, and the appraiser must estimate what they are worth. Step 4, calculate the maximum resale price. INHS must have a copy of the market appraisal to calculate the maximum resale price. Send a copy of the appraisal to INHS, and INHS will provide the maximum resale price for the home. Step 5, list the property. Once the resale price has been set, the homeowner can list the property for sale. The owner may choose to hire a real estate agent to do this, or may list the property themselves on sites such as Craigslist or Zillow. If using a real estate agent, the homeowner will be responsible for paying the realtor's commission through the proceeds of the sale. The listing must state some specific information relating to CHT homes, such as must be a first-time homebuyer. INHS will provide the definition, but this is essentially anyone who has not owned a home in the past 3 years, with some exceptions. Must be below a specified area median income. INHS will provide these income limits to potential borrowers. And the potential buyer will need to be pre-qualified by INHS. Step 6, pre-qualifying buyers. Sellers must refer all buyers to INHS to make sure they are eligible to purchase the home. If the buyer is interested, INHS can pre-qualify them for the down payment assistance. INHS recommends that sellers ask the buyer for a comfort letter from their first mortgage lender. It is recommended that you do not show the home until the potential buyer has been screened by INHS. A lot of people will probably inquire due to the low sales price, and a lot of time can be lost between the current homeowner and an interested buyer if a buyer is ineligible. Step 7, sign the purchase agreement. When an eligible buyer is chosen, a purchase agreement should be signed. The following language should be included in the purchase agreement. Please pause and take a moment to review the language to be included in the purchase agreement. Step 8, close on the home. Once the purchase offer is signed and the transaction is moving forward, INHS will provide documents to the attorneys for review. INHS will bring a new short form lease to the closing, as well as any other documents that are associated with the property. The CHT seller provides keys for the buyer and walks away from closing with a check in the amount of the home's equity. Congrats! You have completed the Homebuyer's Guide to the Community Housing Trust. If you have questions, please contact INHS at 607-277-4500 or email homeownership@ithacanhs.org. Please take a few minutes to test your knowledge by completing the course quiz.